Okay, so welcome to the Blackboard site for one of the 427 classes that I teach. First thing I have linked is the syllabus, and then I've got our fieldwork docs, and on here I have the lesson plan format that we'll be using, along with a sample model lesson plan. I have one for science and one for a reading passage. And then I have the links they need to upload their unobserved lesson plan along with the observed one, including the fieldwork supervisor's comments. Another important link is the assignments, and I have all their assignments in a folder so they can get all the information plus uploading links. So the responses to assigned readings, like I said, here's a document that explains what they need to do for that, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. So this gives some details about what kinds of responses we're looking for and the purpose for doing it. They have options listed here, and they're supposed to do 4 different types of responses, so they have to use a different tool for each one. They could start with a Google tool, but we'd like them to go beyond Google and Prezi if they can, to break out and do some different things. A lot of people choose different kinds of mind mapping tools, which are useful, or Canva or Glogster, which are good poster type presentation formats. And then I have some links for different tools they can use. And tell them they need to upload a link and make sure it's public so other people can view it, including myself. And then they need to respond to 2 other people's. So while we're here, let's look at the lesson plan template that we are using for the Teacher Ed program. As I've said, you are the first semester, so you will be introducing this to them. You do not have to have them fill out the entire lesson plan, especially for that mock lesson plan they're doing, because it's going to be a little overwhelming. But we have content standards, ELD, or the Common Core standard if their content isn't in the Common Core. Learning goals or objectives, and this is something you'll need to take some time with. This class background piece was the one I was saying they don't need for that mock lesson plan because they may not have been assigned yet to a fieldwork classroom, so they can leave that dark for now. They do need to start thinking about how they're going to adapt for language learners or neurodiverse students. For the mock lesson, you may only require them to do the language learner one because they are in the 428 class and learning about working with ELLs. This is something they should be able to do pretty early on. For the other one, students who present a different instructional challenge, because they will see this on the TPA, we want them to get there, but we may not have them fill this part out until they actually teach a lesson. So here's the actual lesson plan part. Notice there's a reflection piece at each part of the lesson plan, so they will complete that after they've taught. And then finally, this rationale chart. What are the thinking behind the pieces of their lesson, and how did that impact the designing of the lesson? For the mock lesson plan, I think I just asked them to do 1, 4, and 7, but they will do all of this when they've taught their lessons. Okay, so going back to Blackboard then, I just have a blog where they will upload responses to each of their assigned readings and then look at each other's. Here's the mock lesson plan with the description of what we're asking for and the pieces of that lesson plan chart that we want them to fill out, and then a place to upload it. You can decide if you want them to teach this independently or to work in partners to do this if they have people in the same content area. That can be up to you. I had them do it individually because the more practice they get teaching, the better. Then we have the classroom management plan, and it lists the slides, the things I need to include in the plan. And I just have listed here, I have a former student who comes in and gives an orientation about being a new teacher, so she posted her version as a model. You can, if you'd like me to share a model with you, I can do that, or you can use Christina's. And I thought, while I'm here, let me show you the lesson plan chart that they are going to fill out for their observations. So they will fill out the date and times of observation, a summary of what happened. I ask them to pick a target area to focus on, and we want them to vary that each time they go observe, so they could talk about what was happening in terms of student engagement or classroom management or the environment, and then any thoughts or reflection on the lesson. So they will write what the content is, grade level, and then content standards addressed in each lesson. And then they'll just fill this out until it's got the 15 hours total. All right. So we have directions for the annotated text set. And here's the description here. They're just doing the text set and strategies. We used to have them do a textbook analysis, but since so many don't use textbooks, I'm actually going to take that out. That shouldn't be there, so ignore that. Here's a sample, strategy sample. So once they've done the text set, they pick 4 strategies that they would use to teach at least 4 out of the 8 texts that they've created. And here's a sample explaining how the strategy works, what are the instructions, and what it might connect to. All right. So we have the literacy position statement, e-portfolio, the social justice event response. I just put here, what are the things that we want them to respond to and reflect on based on their attendance at that event? And I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You're welcome to copy and paste that on yourself. The literacy position statement, what I have them do is create a rough draft, and then they have to trade papers with somebody and peer edit each other's. Obviously this can be done electronically. And then they get credit for posting their reflection on somebody else's paper. That's just a simple form that they fill out and upload. So I have a place for them to upload their actual final draft of the literacy position statement and where they upload the peer revision guide. So the peer revision guide looks like this, and this is also what our rubric looks like for scoring this. We're looking at APA format, and part of the intent with this assignment is to get them familiar and comfortable using APA. Now, just for the record, APA version 7 has just come out. I have not even looked at it. I'm holding them to version 6 this semester, and I don't know what I'll do next semester. I'll have to look and see how different it is. But these are some of the things we're looking at in terms of that paper, and then the scoring. So you will use this to give feedback for 2 of the papers that I will make available to you. All right, and I think that covers it for the assignments. This library handout, we just went to the library for an overview on doing a database search for that literacy position statement. That you need to use at least 5 sources, 3 need to be peer-reviewed articles. So if you want help with our library, if you're off campus, our librarians can either do a virtual class or sometimes they'll come to the campus. So that's an option to you if you want to give students support for using and searching databases, which is sometimes hard. We did this the 2nd or 3rd week of class, and I highly recommend it. It gets them thinking about the paper, gets them started in it, gets them searching through the databases. So that is my recommendation there. Okay, in the PowerPoints and articles section, I have a lot, probably more information here posted than I actually get to, but over different semesters I've used these from time to time. So in here sometimes I've got a PowerPoint, and then I've got articles or links to other information regarding the topic. This one I also have some good articles, disciplinary articles related to different content. So there's a lot of good content here. Feel free to use what you like and leave what you don't want. You're welcome to copy and use any of this in your classes. There's some good articles. One thing you need to take some time with is teaching objectives and DOK levels, because this is, like I said, going to be new to students. I like to walk them through Bloom's taxonomy as the origins of DOK, and this has a nice overlap of the two. And I also talk about the Common Core and the spiral and how that spiral links to their content and what the thinking was when they created that in the Common Core. So there's a lot of good info here. Feel free to use what works for you. And if you find other stuff that you like better, please let me know. I'm always open to new content. I've also posted the prologue here from Wong and Wong for students that hadn't yet purchased the book, so they can read at least the intro. Here I have some links to different strategies that you may or may not want to teach, but these are some kind of, again, general strategies that cross different contents. So please use what you like, and if you have other links and strategies that you think are valuable for this course, please share them with me, and I will update our Readings and Conversations site, where there will be a collection spot for everybody to access with new content. All right, last thing, I also have on here an online night that deals with dyslexia. In this case, I also did a writing component too. So what I typically do for the online night is create a response document that I want them to download. And then I have all the links and things all in there. That makes it easier, and that way if they get kicked off Blackboard for some reason, they can just access it through this. So that this was a writing and the dyslexia. So there's some links there about writing and thinking about writing. And then we get into dyslexia and the dyslexia guidelines. And this walks them through some of the background on working with kids who struggle with reading and or are dyslexic. And then once they've done that, they upload this response sheet along with posting a blog response to what they got out of the night, and then they have to read and respond to 2 other people's blogs. So that in a nutshell is the class, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions.